Plaintiff Susan Daly Shemeka says the defendant's been a friend for 30 years, and after her husband passed away, he became a shoulder to cry on. Susan claims she loaned the defendant some money, but he uses his illnesses as an excuse not to repay her. Defendant Joe Mizalski claims after Susan's husband died, she seduced him. Joe admits borrowing money from Susan and says he agreed to repay her when he could. But Joe says it's been difficult because he suffers from several illnesses due to his exposure to Agent Orange during the Vietnam War.
Tell me what happened.
Well, Joe Mizalski was a friend, a family friend for over 30 years, Your Honor. My husband died 3 years ago, my second husband. And he was a shoulder for me to cry on. He got me back into the social scene. I was just doing a lot of volunteer work and associating with my parents. And I really thought he was a very honest man and a friend. And he uses his illness as an excuse to not pay me back.
Do you object to her talking about your illness?
No.
Okay. What type of illness?
Diabetic. He said kidney cancer.
Oh. Well, that's not just, I don't think he's using his illness. That's a real illness to talk about.
Well, then he should stay out of bars and quit drinking and smoking.
You want to respond to any of that, sir?
Your Honor, first of all, I don't know anything about stolen money. Okay. I have no objection to her giving me money, okay, but I don't think nothing about stolen money.
All right. All right. Go right ahead and continue.
Well, in September 2007, he came and asked me for a loan for $2,000, which, like I said, being a family friend.
Did you ask him what it was for?
No.
Okay. You're a good friend.
I know, sir.
And I've heard that. You don't ask people what they want it for. You either do it or you don't. No, I'm going to ask you.
Yeah, and
No, because you might be going to buy crack with my money.
Yeah, you always ask me.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So, you know, that wasn't a problem. Like I said, we've known each other a lot of years. I mean, my children called him Uncle Joe. He was at my daughter's wedding. In fact, my son is a Marine because of Joe. So, then in October...
What were the terms of repayment?
Well, there was always a pending car deal. And
so
when
you loaned it to him, he said, I'll give it back to you when?
When I make a new deal. You know, that's what he does. He doesn't get a salary per year, per month, per day.
Has he made a new deal?
Yeah, there's no deal.
Have you made a new deal?
It was never that. I told her I'd give it back to her when I can. I mean, I'd like to be able to make $3,000 off a one car deal, Your Honor, but don't work that way.
Have you sold a car in the last year?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, then. Well, did you give her any money off of that deal?
No.
Why?
But, you know, as she says, I know her for 30 years.
Go ahead. Mm-hmm.
All right? And, you know, she got divorced from a very good friend of mine, remarried, and unfortunately her husband died. And her son was going in the Marine Corps. I was a Marine. So she invited me to a party, you know, going away party for boot camp. And, you know, like anything at the party, there's drinking going on and everybody's having fun. But, you know, when you're drinking and there's women around, you know, the flesh is weak. She seduced me. You know, so then we kind of started a relationship. All right. And everything was going good and going great. You know, and all of a sudden, you know, she's a drama queen. You know, she came up with a fabulous idea. It was a great idea that, you know, the troops over in Afghanistan and Iraq, they're short of supplies. Normal stuff that we would think the government supplies them with, they don't. So we were going to pick out her son's platoon.
We've spent nearly $1 trillion on this war, and they're short on supplies.
And people are losing their houses in this country. But anyways, it was a great idea. So I said, well, you know, let's maybe take it to another level. So I know a girl that owns a bar. And during Hurricane Wilma, we picked out a family in New Orleans, adopted them, and raised like $5,000 for them. So this girl has experience doing this. And then she got 2 other bars involved, mainly as dropping off places, where we put up flyers all over the place, and people would drop off canned goods, you know, just stuff that they need.
Good.
Well, anyway, I put them 2 together, and next thing I know, she goes crazy. We leave the place, and she puts me in the car, and she's banging on the dashboard, going crazy. I said, what's going on? So I don't want her advertising off of doing this. I said, she's not advertising. What she's doing is using her business as a place where people can drop it off. So That was the start of it. And she's out there yelling and screaming, you know, telling me, you owe me money, this and that, you know, going on like crazy. I go on, I said, listen, calm down, just leave your, you know, don't create any problems. She hauls off and she takes a whack at me. I always wear a hat, you know, and she knocked my hat off. You know, and it's like, you know, it's like an elephant, a mosquito bite an elephant. You know, it's no big deal.
Right.
But it just started going downhill from there. You know, and I know you're from Detroit, and being in the car business, and I did a lot of specialization in trucks, but the price of fuel just killed it. And then I was in the Marine Corps in Vietnam in '65, and I was exposed to Agent Orange. You know,
And may be a part of
that
the
stuff
reason
turns
you have
up.
the disease.
I've lost a kidney.
Yeah.
I've been diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. I'm deafened this year.
Yeah.
Plus a lot of other stuff that as you get older turns
Your
up.
Honor.
And just so people know that that has continued throughout these recent wars, both with Desert Storm and with the Iraq War.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. Your Honor, I went to 2 funerals in one day. Both guys were in Vietnam. Both guys, cancer of the pancreas is a big thing.
Yeah. And the hospital there in Washington, D.C., what was it? Walter Reed.
Walter Reed?
Yeah, they discovered that they had just totally neglected those soldiers who were injured and staying there. It's terrible, despite what
It's
people might
unfortunate
think in a war.
that our country has to go out and fight and die for them, and then they don't want to take care of you.
Yeah.
The problem with war is the guys who start them don't fight them. Yeah, her son was there. Thank God he made it back safe.
Yeah, we're done with that. I'm glad to hear that. But, you know, that was good to hear. And I'm sure a lot of the
Thank you
viewers
for letting me
appreciate
voice
it.
that.
Yeah.
Your Honor, as far as this case is concerned, yeah, as I said, we know each other for a long time. Yeah, we partied together, had a good time together, you know, and did lost contact. But, you know, she's always seen me with a lot of women. You know, and I like to, you know, I got a flaw in my character. I never met a woman I didn't like.
You got a flaw in your character. That's a good way to put it. I wonder if that's a...
And I learned the secret of law.
You think that'll work, Noah?
yeah,
You think that'll work?
Yeah.
Nah, you try it first, then.
I'll tell you.
You try it first, and you let me know if it worked for you.
You know,
I got a flaw in my character.
And I learned the secret a long time ago. Women don't fall in love with their eyes, they fall in love with their ears.
Oh, my God.
Sweet talker.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought I knew the game. I've been all the way around. I've been around players and pimps all my life, but I've never heard it put like this. You got the game better than any of them. Go ahead. No wonder you sweet talked her out of $3,000. But you're gonna have to pay this woman her money back. How much did you make on that last deal, profit?
You haven't heard the rest of the story, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
All right. You know, she had come into a lot of cash and wanted to do something with it. So I asked her if she wanted to invest in a mortgage. So I set her up with my brother, who had a condo that he owed $21,000 on. That was worth $175,000, which is a no-lose situation.
You know you're taking advantage of this woman because you streetwise and she don't know any better. Come on, man. How much did you make? How much profit did you make on that last car deal?
Last one, probably $300.
How long did you expect it to take him to be able to pay you your money back?
Your Honor, there was a time when I signed payroll for my ex-husband. He used to make $15,000 a month.
Who did?
He was a very good salesman.
Doing his car deals? All
was a
right, so
very
you
good
had a
salesman.
reasonable expectation. So let's
When
get
he
to the
was
stolen
talking
money.
about, you know, he introduced me to this lady for this fundraiser. This was my idea. I put together this flyer with one of my son's friends, and we made this flyer. Well, when we got to this particular bar, the woman took my flyer and put Chit Chats Presents. So I thought that was a little
Let me
inappropriate.
see your flyer. Go ahead.
And then Joe and I went to several different car dealers for donations. He had them write the check to the bar. Instead of to me for a fundraiser, he
him?
had them write it to the lounge.
All right.
Yes,
and
sir.
how was he an employee of the lounge?
No,
Well,
he's
how
just a
old is
really
he?
good-
Oh, if he didn't receive the money and he didn't write the check,
He directed the people to sign the check over to the lounge instead of to the
and what
Marine
did the
Fund.
lounge? And when did you find out?
that night.
I see you should be suing the lounge, ma'am. I'm not going to grant you a judgment for that.
That's fine, sir.
I will grant you a judgment for the loan, sir. If you made $15,000 a month at some point, and I believe that's probably the case, then you had an opportunity to pay her. You certainly should have given her something on that latest deal. She has received nothing from you in 1 year.
Your Honor, she made $64,000 on the mortgage I set her up with.
All right, but that wasn't a part of the $3,000 deal. That
And that's
should be
over 20 years, Your Honor.
20 years ago.
The mortgage is over
a
20
course of
years.
3,000 for the plaintiff, sir.
Thank you,
Have
Your
a
Honor.
good day. That's the best I can do.